One of the big things that I want to get across is we see literally every single week, we've all seen different issues like this. So we see in the press lots of different security breaches, people being hacked, people having information go missing from within their organisation. And to a certain extent, we've all been hardened to it. We see it in the press so often that we've forgotten exactly how much of a threat it does pose for our businesses. And it's very easy to sit back when it's not your company and just think, this stuff's happening, it'll never affect me. And also one of the biggest mistakes companies make is, I'm not big enough to be hacked. No one will be interested in attacking my business until it does happen to them. But these are real stats provided by some of the top antivirus and malware agencies in the UK. So 4.5 million computers were infected, were compromised by data stealing. And that's just purely in the first quarter of 2011. So 50% of the Fortune 100 organisations were compromised by data stealing and the Mariposa botnet. So even the large guys that have very stringent security measures can be affected by this as well. But one of the things that I find personally most scary is the growth of access to the web and how freely available hacking tools are. I mean, I literally put a picture here of hacking exposed for a simple reason that the first thing we think of when we think cybercrime is hacking. Now, we all have this picture on our heads of hackers being these propeller head type techies, but the honest truth is that you can go into Waterstones, buy this book, of which I bought a copy with me here today, and it will tell you how to target a company that you want to attack, how to find out the information you need to start attacking them from their website, and then it even goes into different types of attacks you can perform, and even gives each attack a score on how likely you are to be caught doing it. So, some other statistics for you that are a lot more relevant to you as a business. So, I say that access to the web, and the web has become a big reason for the spread of these threats. So one of the big things, I put a couple of stats in here. So 23% of the workday is spent on the web. No surprise there. One of the jokey ones, the number one reason for wasting time at work is the internet. So one of the things that a lot of organisations are doing now is actually monitoring and controlling how their staff access the web and what sites they have access to. But 89%, and this is where it gets scary, so 89% of organisations reported that they've had a malware infection in the last year. Now, malware is a generic term for viruses, spyware, and lots of different other threats. And 90% of those organisations reported that that infection came from the web. So the fact that the web is there, we all use it in our day-to-day business, it's created this massive gap for threats to come into your business. What you have is that a new variant of a different type of malware is actually coming and hitting the internet every 1.5 seconds. So the actual number of different viruses and threats out there to businesses numbers in the hundreds of thousands now. And a brand new one of those is hitting the internet every 1.5 seconds. So what is a bot? So it's software that invades your machine with malicious intent. And the method that I've actually shown here of how you can be affected by this is it could just be something as simple as you receive an email with a web link that to you seems quite harmless. In this instance, I've used Facebook. You have a new friend request. Click here to receive more details. So you click on that request, but what it's not taking you to Facebook, it's taking you to an external source. And what that actually does, once it's actually infected on your machine, not only does it carry lots of different payloads with it, but more crucially, it's actually giving a third-party remote access to your systems. So it's installing a piece of software on your machine that allows someone externally to access your machine. Just one bot infecting on your system can actually perform multiple different actions. So firstly, it does give people remote control access to your systems, but in addition to that, it's actually going to be used as a tool. So it will actually use your system to attack others. One of the first things that it could do is it could actually start sending spam emails out from your account. So it can actually go into your email account and actually start sending emails out from your system without you realising. In addition to that, what it can also do is use your machine as a resource to attack others. and most damaging to a lot of businesses is one of the payloads that a bot can carry with it is the fact that it can actually carry a piece of spyware. And once that's installed on your system, what it's actually doing is looking for the sites you go to and looking for crucial pieces of information. So it's actually sitting there looking specifically for entries that you put into fields like password, username, card number. And what it effectively does is harvests that information and forwards it out to a third-party site. There's two key reasons that people create bots. First of all, once it's installed on your machine, you can become part of a large group that's basically called a botnet. So hackers can have several thousands or hundreds of thousands of machines at their control. So this group actually gives them a massive amount of resource. So if they've taken grievance with someone, or they've actually been paid, if they're a professional hacker, to actually take down a company's website or affect their organisation, they can literally point a massive amount of computing resource at attacking a certain company. In addition to that, you've got what's called advanced persistent threats, or APTs. And what this is instead of this short, sharp attack, what they use is a denial of service attack over a long period of time. So botnets can be used to attack certain websites and just degrade their service over time, so to either take the site down or just make it extremely slow. So it's used as a commercial tool to take competitors, other organisations down. We all receive email every single day of the week, and it's hard to sort the wheat from the chaff. Sometimes you receive emails that look genuine from customers, and you literally have to put a very, very high level of checking in before you actually click on every single link, because every attachment you click on could carry a payload. In addition to that, we do what's drive-by. There's also a thing that's called drive-by infection, which is just by visiting a site. You can visit a site and in the background the Java is loading, so it's actually loading a load of script in the background, and you can be infected quite simply by clicking on a link. One of the things that scares me about bots and the fact that and why they're so malicious to organisations is the fact that they actually are very intelligent. They try and hide themselves. If you're running certain antivirus programs, they can even attack that antivirus program and try and disable it on your machine as well. So, as if by magic, and this of course is where LB Services comes in, one of the things I wanted to just get across today is that the threats are real. So really do take this as a moment to just double check your security policies. The threats are real for businesses of all sizes. And one of the things that we do, our business is security, first and foremost. So what we do is we provide a range of services, including right away from the start, we can actually go into a business and do a security health check, find out exactly how good your measures are, and highlight any loopholes that there might be. And also we offer a range of different services to businesses of all sizes, allowing you to address different areas of security, all monitored, all installed by our security professionals. I think one of the big things about security as well is if you do suffer an outage, one of the big things it's going to do is affect your staff productivity. Even something like your email server being taken down could mean that you can't send or receive quotes, orders, anything like this. So even just something as simple as your email server being taken down can provide a massive amount of trouble for your business. And basically, by outsourcing it to someone like Alvia, what that allows you to do is reduce the complexity. You can have extremely stringent security measures in, and it's all managed by us, monitored by us up to 24/7. So if there's a security issue, or you are attacked, or there's any issues, we actually jump in and assist with that. And one of the big things with this is that security prevention is way better than the cure. It's an old adage, but with this one it is very, very real. If you imagine you can address your security policy now and put the measures you need to put in place to protect yourself, or you can wait until it does happen to you. And the costs of recovering from an outage are astronomical.
Certain companies nowadays that wouldn't exist at all without the network. We talk about people like Amazon, eBay, lots of betting companies even, but these companies literally now exist because of the internet and the network. Okay. I won't mention them all, there's probably several hundred million. So if you think about your own organisations, what would stop, for example, if you had a network outage? Would there be anything you couldn't do as an organisation or a business if your network wasn't working? Mike mentioned things like your email earlier. This could be an issue if you were trying to send quotes or take orders. Potentially nowadays your phone system may rely upon the network. A lot of phone systems are now voice over IP, or VoIP as it's abbreviated there. So again, if a network switch is down, is your phone system potentially not working? Without the network in place with an outage, for a lot of organisations it's a big problem. Okay. So you talk to some high-profile major companies, they're going to say, well, we've got resilient systems, we've got backups, we've got failures. You know, failure's not an option, everything's high resistant, it's never going to go wrong. And lots of people have said that. For example, these guys. So PayPal had an outage back, where are we? An 80-minute outage, costing them $14.6 million. Dixon's, for example, gearing up for last Christmas, so very pertinent time of the year. Boxing Day's their peak. Not Black Friday over here, is it? It's Boxing Day pretty much. So they were building up, scaling up. Configuration error, in fact, rather than an actual failure. And their 8-hour outage last year cost them £15 million, they reported. So you've got routers, switches, firewalls, wireless equipment, proxies, load balancers, all of this stuff. Hundreds of them, all different manufacturers. What do? Well, we effectively provide a single point, simplify the backup and potential restoration of all of those configurations of all that network equipment. So if the worst does happen, and it is either a human error change, like it was for Amazon, I didn't go into that, the guy got sacked at Amazon, comma in the wrong place, you know, because that's all it was. But they got no backup, they couldn't roll back, you know. Look at Fujitsu up there in the top left-hand corner, biggest customer, over 1,000 firewalls managed throughout the UK government. So firewall, very complicated piece of equipment. Mike's just been talking about them. You know, you need experts generally. 3 o'clock in the morning, if it goes wrong, you don't want to be getting the highest paid person in the organisation out of bed to go to fix it. Restore point, 3 clicks, spare one in the cupboard, essentially, or the 4-hour on-site delivery, however you've got it covered, and we'll restore it. It's all completely secure, meets all of the compliance requirements for credit card trading and all of those things. Make the point, disasters happen, it's how you recover from them that makes a difference.
And what we're looking at is, over the next 15 years, what will our town centre, from Christchurch Park to the waterfront, from the Westgate Centre in Civic Drive to the university, what do we want to see, what do you want to see happen? Now, town centres are quite complex places, and Ipswich is no different. It's a place where people shop, where they work, where they live, where we have to travel round and where we have to travel through. And all of those have implications for the kind of development that might happen. If we look at the built environment, there are certain places in Ipswich Town Centre that are, if you like, they're fixed. We can't be knocking them down. So development has to take place, taking into account the football club, the college, the university, churches, our theatres, our parks, and over 600 listed buildings. If we think of leisure and entertainment uses, open spaces, what landscaping we can fit into all of that. And then, of course, roads, which will be pedestrianised areas. How will we get people on bikes, people walking, and people on cars? And I wasn't sure I was going to mention the P word, but parking is the one everybody worries about. Now, I think at the moment it would obviously be easy to concentrate on the negative. It's a very difficult time economically. The Association of Town Centre Management tells us that there's been a 20% cut in footfall in town centres over the past 5 years. We might look at our town centre and think, well, some of the retail's a bit tired now. We might look at closed shops, particularly perhaps Car Street end, where it starts with the empty Odeon, you move along the Co-op is shut, so on. And we've got stall developments, the Westgate Centre, where the old Civic Centre was. So what the Town Centre Master Plan wants us to do is to focus on the future. We want you to tell us what you think about the plans that we're putting forward for consultation in this document. And basically what this invites you to do is to say, what do you think about what we're suggesting? We're saying, for example, that if we look to the future, town centres are going to get smaller. I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Retailers, disappeared in the recession. E-shopping is on the increase at a steady climb every year. Town centres are going to be smaller. They're going to be more compact. And probably different things are going to happen in them. So what we have to try to do for Ipswich is to think, well, how will that be best for the people living there, for the people shopping there, for visitors we want to attract, and for businesses? How can we attract them into the town? What's the best way of using development as a tool? And one of the big points in our document is that we think a really special thing about Ipswich is the fact we have this wonderful waterfront, which actually is cut off from the town to a degree by the Starlane Gyratory, and then the rest of the town seems to begin in a way. So how do we pull that all together? How do we make it less of a linear kind of shopping experience, for example, from the end of Carr Street to the end of Westgate? What's the best way of doing that? So this is a chance for us, for you, for the council and for other people to look ahead, and for you to help us to improve the town that we all love. I'd also like to say that we have a fully staffed economic development team now at the council, and if there's anything we can do to help businesses in and around the town, we welcome your coming to us.
Who's heard of Silicon Suffolk? Okay, you will. I first heard the expression Ben Gummer. Said it that my day job is Chief Executive of the Haven Gateway. In our annual meeting, I think a couple of years ago, Ben Gummer stood up and said, "What's famous about Suffolk? Why don't we make Silicon Suffolk an aspiration?" It's about an ecosystem of ICT businesses, and you heard a couple of them earlier, who are working as a cluster, and already 12% of the Suffolk economy is dominated by ICT businesses. And what we're doing at Martlesham is we're trying to get the fence down. So we have to generate something like 20,000 jobs in Suffolk over the next 20 years. And where are they coming from? Some of them will come through the service sector. But BT has stated that there will be 2,500 new jobs at Martlesham over the next 10 or 15 years, and none of them will be BT jobs. So they have to get the fence down, and they have to invite new companies in. And this is the ecosystem inside the fence at the moment, and I don't want you to go away thinking Innovation Martlesham is about being inside the fence, because it's not. It's about Suffolk. But there is a cluster inside the fence of something like 45 companies, and they range from BT, which is huge, Huawei, which is the second biggest ICT company in China, Fujitsu, who I heard earlier, some big ones and some very, very small ones, and all things in between. So it's a growing cluster, focusing on ICT technologies and low carbon energy. So that's the offer. Maybe 300 to 400 businesses being inside that Astral Park within the next 5 to 10 years. Specifically, we provide a free incubator for 18 months, including free comms of up to 100 megabits per second, which you can't get anywhere else in Suffolk at the moment, for companies. We have a network, which is called the IP network, which we run with Suffolk Chamber, which already has 850 members in it, so that's the broader network. We have a series of mentors who will support business startups and new businesses going through the process. And we have a range of events, showcases, etc. Why? Well, because we have to find 20,000 jobs in Suffolk over the next 10 years. The economic forecasts for Suffolk indicate that most of the jobs, 80% of the jobs in Suffolk, will be delivered in the southern part of Suffolk over the next 5 to 10 years. So Carroll, the performance of Ipswich, is absolutely crucial. Your county town, the greenest town in the greenest county possibly, going forward, absolutely crucial. The performance of the port of Felixstowe and its supply chain, really important. The importance of BT and innovation marketing, really important. But don't forget small business startups and small businesses. 75% of our business in this part of the world is about small businesses. And we've just lost one of our major support mechanisms for that. We have to generate that going forward. We have 44 companies inside the fence and at Astral, so don't think about Astral anymore as a BT site. It is the largest research and development site for ICT in Europe, but no longer is it only BT. BT is the predominant place there, but in 5 years, BT will probably not have less staff than all the other companies put together. So in the last 5 months, 9 new companies have come into innovation marketing, generating something like 37 jobs, direct jobs, plus a supply chain, and we're open for new businesses to come in there. We've got 4 companies in the incubator and 9 in the pipeline. We've got new accommodation that's opening in January, and we know the compelling proposition. The compelling proposition is the address. If you're an ICT company and you're based at Astral Park, and that is a world-renowned address. So Innovation Marketing is one of the core offers for Suffolk in its programme for growth. We are very happy to hear from you. It is something we should be celebrating and something that is vitally important if we want to grow our way out of this recession.
St Elizabeth, like all of you in this room, is a business. We might not be generating profit, but what we're doing is generating, we hope, a surplus, which we then reinvest in both the care of the people in this county, but also jobs, utilisation of local businesses to provide our services, to provide our supplies, and also opportunities for volunteering, which in our current environment are absolutely vital to help restore the confidence of the local community. We aren't there to cure, we're there to care, and to be alongside people on what can be a very difficult journey and just try to make it that little bit better. This year, if our figures keep up, we will be receiving 1,500 referrals. That's a 50% increase in our workload. And actually, we will therefore, again extrapolating the figures out, be looking after 2,000 individuals within the county. Our one-call service, which we launched last year, which is a 24-hour advice line, was receiving 350 calls a month when we first started. We're now receiving over 1,000. Things are changing, but it isn't without its challenges, let's be honest. For us, they might be slightly different than for yourselves, but public service reform, we know our colleagues in the County Council are struggling with their budget cuts, with actually providing the right level of service. And we work really closely both with the NHS and the council services to provide a bundled care for people. We hope seamless to the people who get it, but it requires all of us to do that. And so therefore, as the NHS and social services are struggling to provide the care, the person left at the sharp end potentially is us. Because people think, well, you're a charity, that's all right, you can do it. There are political pressures. We know that we are increasingly asked to provide services closer to home, which is great for the individual. In terms of our logistics and in terms of our staffing and resources, that's a huge pressure. The service that we provide to our clients is completely free of charge. The income that we get is mainly derived from the public. We get about 20% of our income through grants and contracts with the NHS. The rest comes from you. About just over £1 million a year from gifts in wills, £2 million a year from our lottery and our trading, and the rest from fundraising events. It's the people of Suffolk who make us happen. And we also focus a lot on the social capital of volunteering. We have just about 1,000 volunteers now working for St Elizabeth, They often provide maybe 3 hours a week or a fortnight. And we think that even if you cost them out at basic minimum wage, that saves us around £700,000 a year. Those 1,000 volunteers give us an awful lot, but they also get something back. There is social capital. For the sort of 18 to 24-year-olds, where we know it's really difficult at the moment for them to get into employment, we can offer a volunteering opportunity in every single aspect of our business, whether it be finance, HR, admin, IT, service delivery, catering, gardening, logistics, transport, warehousing. We can give them opportunities in all of those. And whilst they're getting experience on their CV, they're helping us as well. We are just starting to look at apprenticeships because we feel that's a way that we can also contribute to the local economy by offering those options for people. But the other thing we have to do is think about how we get that money. There's an awful lot of people out there who also need your funds. And so we have to constantly be thinking, well, how can we make it easier for people to support us? And hence, the pillars in the community scheme. It's our way of trying to invite corporates to be helpful to St Elizabeth. Businesses can pledge to raise funds for us, or get their staff involved with fundraising, or by donating time and skills, or volunteering opportunities. There will be recognition via the local media and business press. We have an incredibly strong PR and marketing department. Every year since I've been in post, which is just over 2 years now, we have had the highest number of media mentions of any charity in the county. And we do help promote team building and motivation of staff. One of our initial pillars was Ipswich Building Society, and they have really taken us to heart. And last year, just before the midnight walk, you'd have seen their branch office festooned with bunny ears and flashing lights and all kinds of things. But things like our dragon boat race, Richard Jackson, who was our main sponsor last year, they cannot believe the buzz the organisation got from having a team in that. And you'd be supported every step of the way by our corporate team. Sarah White, who currently manages our corporate affairs, and we're just about to take on a second corporate fundraiser. So there will be people there who can actually really help you every step of the way. Price of care isn't cheap, but we know that the care is needed, and we know that we're valued by the local community. And we will do everything in our power to support the local community, but we do need your support back. So, you could become a pillar. You could enter the team into one of our corporate events. You don't have to be a pillar to do that. There are sponsorship opportunities for various events that we have. Staff fundraising, Give As You Earn a payroll giving scheme. Our lottery syndicates, you won't quite get as much as the 300,000 they got recently for 5 numbers in the bonus number, but our lottery syndicates, actually, we have a top prize of £2,000 a week. Clothing collections. Why not bring your sort of baggage to work day and actually ask your staff to bring all their clothes that they really aren't wearing that season? We'll come and pick them up from you, and we can take them back to our DC and distribute them to the various 15 retail outlets we have. Recycling at work, mobile phones, ink cartridges, stamps, and gifts in kind. Those skills that you all have, we could really benefit from.